Hastāmalaka Stotram. Hastāmalaka Stotram, composed by Hastamalaka Acharya, a direct disciple of Adi Sankara. The Hastāmalaka Stotram is a short Vedantic text about the higher nature of self. Hastamalaka's parents lived in a village called Sribali near Gokarna, Karnataka. He was born self-realized. His behavior as a child caused his parents a lot of concern because he remained dumb and completely unaffected by happenings around him. The troubled parents brought him to Adi Sankara, who asked him who he was. The boy replied in verse describing his essential nature as a non-dual Atman. While explaining to his other disciples how this boy had attained self-knowledge even at this very young age, Sri Shankara says, one day, when he was a 2-year-old child, his mother had taken him along with her when she went to the river for her bath. She left the child on the bank under the care of a jnani, who happened to be sitting there. The child accidentally fell into the water when the jnani was deep in meditation. When the mother came back after bath, she was shocked to find that the child was dead, and she began to cry. Moved by pity for her, the jnani, by virtue of his yogic power, entered the body of the child, casting off his own mortal coil. The child thus became a realized soul. Hastamalaka is meant to be an amla berry, amalakam, in the hand, hasta. Shankaracharya used this berry as a metaphor to acknowledge Hastamalaka's ripeness and his clarity of knowledge regarding Vedanta, and also to reveal the esoteric, which means likely to be understood by a small number of people with specialized knowledge or interest, nature of the Vedantic scriptures as a whole. Also to reveal knowledge that is hidden. Adi Sankara had 4 primary direct disciples whose works survive to the present day: Sureshwara, Padmapada, Totaka, and Hastamalaka. Though numerous texts are available for study by Sureshwara, only this particular work by Hastamalaka has survived. It is believed that Hastamalaka was just 7 years old when he narrated these 12 verses in response to a question from Adi Sankara. Sri Adi Sankara himself is compelled to write a commentary on the Hastamalaka. It is extraordinary that the Master of Masters would compose commentary upon the work of his young student. Sri Adi Sankara was so impressed by the profundity of these 12 verses that he himself wrote an elaborate commentary on them. In this commentary, Sri Adi Sankara refers to Hastamalaka, his own disciple, as the Acharya. This indicates not only the greatness of Hastamalaka's verses, but also the magnanimity of Guru Sri Adi Sankara. Kastvam shishokasya kutosi ganta kim nama te tvam kuta agatosi etanmayoktam vadacarbhaka tvam mat pritaye priti vivardhanosi. Who are you, my child? Whose? And where are you going? What is your name? And where you come from? Tell me all this clearly. To gladden me, you fill my heart with happiness. Hastamalaka uvacha naham manushyo na cha deva yakshau na brahmanam kshatriya vaishya shudraha na brahmachari na grihi vanastha भिक्षुर्न चाहं निजबोधरूपम्. Hastamalaka replies, I am neither a human being, nor Deva, nor Yaksha. I am neither a Brahmin, nor Kshatriya, nor Vaishya, nor Shudra. I am neither unmarried, nor householder, nor one living in the forest. I am not a beggar, but I am the form of true knowledge. निमित्तं मनश्चक्षुरादिप्रवृत्तौ निरस्ताखिलोपाधिराकाशकल्पः रविर्लोकचेष्टानिमित्तं यथा यः स नित्योपलब्धिस्वरूपोऽहमात्मा. I am the Atma, self, which is of the nature of eternal consciousness and which is the cause of the functioning of the mind, eye, and all other organs in the same way as the sun is the cause of the activities of all beings on this earth. But when not associated with the limiting adjuncts in the form of body, mind, and sense organs, I, self, am like space. यमग्न्युष्णवत् नित्यबोधस्वरूपं मनश्चक्षुरादीन्यबोधात्मिकानि प्रवृत्तान्त आश्रित्य निष्कम्पमेकं स नित्योपलब्धिस्वरूपोऽहमात्मा. I am the self, which is the nature of eternal consciousness, which is the changeless and one only, non-dual, whose very nature is eternal consciousness. In the same manner as heat is the very nature of fire, and depending on which is the mind, eye, and other organs, which are all in sentient function. मुखाभासको दर्पणे दृश्यमानो मुखत्वात् पृथक्त्वेन नैवास्ति वस्तु चिदाभासकोऽधीषु जीवोऽपि तद्वत् स नित्योपलब्धिस्वरूपोऽहमात्मा. The reflection of a face in a mirror has no real existence apart from the reflected face. So also, the jiva, who is only the reflection of the self or pure consciousness in the intellect or mind, has really no separate existence apart from the self. That self, which is of the nature of eternal consciousness, I am. यथा दर्पणाभाव आभासहानौ मुखं विद्यते कल्पनाहीनमेकं तथाधिवियोगे निराभासको यः स नित्योपलब्धिस्वरूपोऽहमात्मा. Just as when the mirror is removed, the reflection of the face ceases to exist, and the face alone remains without any false appearances in the form of reflections, so also, when the mind, the reflecting medium, ceases to exist, the Atma is free from all wrong notions caused by the reflection. मनश्चक्षुरादेर्वियुक्तः स्वयं यः मनश्चक्षुरादेर्मनश्चक्षुरादिः मनश्चक्षुरादेरगम्यः स्वरूपः स नित्योपलब्धिस्वरूपोऽहमात्मा. I am that self which is of the nature of eternal consciousness, which is different from the mind, eye, and other organs, but is itself the mind of the mind, the eye of the eye, the ear of the ear, and so on. It is, however, inaccessible to the mind and sense organs. य एको विभाति स्वतः शुद्धचेताः प्रकाशस्वरूपोऽपि नानेवधीषु शरावोदकस्थो यथा भानुरेकः स स नित्योपलब्धिस्वरूपोऽहमात्मा. The self, being self-luminous, shines by itself to those whose minds have become absolutely pure. Though only one, the self appears as many and different in different intellects in the same way as the sun, though only one, appears as many when reflected in different pots of water. I am that self which is of the nature of eternal consciousness. यथानेकचक्षुर्प्रकाशो रविर्न क्रमेण प्रकाशीकरोति प्रकाश्यम् अनेकाधियो यस्तथैकः प्रबोधः स नित्योपलब्धिस्वरूपोऽहमात्मा. Just as the sun, who gives light to all eyes, does not reveal the illumined objects by turns to one person after another, but all eyes are able to see at the same time, so also the self, which is only one, gives consciousness to all intellects simultaneously. विवस्वत्प्रभातं यथा रूपमक्षं प्रगृह्णाति नाभातम् एवं विवस्वान् यदा भात आभासयत्यक्षमेकः स नित्योपलब्धिस्वरूपोऽहमात्मा. Just as the eye sees clearly only objects that are illumined by the sun, but not what is not illumined, the sun itself is able to make the eye capable of seeing objects only because it is self itself illumined by the self. यथा सूर्य एकोऽप्स्वनेकश्चलासु स्थिरास्वप्यनन्यद्विभाव्यस्वरूपः चलासु प्रभिन्नः सुधिष्वेक एव स नित्योपलब्धिस्वरूपोऽहमात्मा. The one sun appears as many reflections in different containers of water, moving or still, but the sun remains unaffected by the nature of the water in which it is reflected. Similarly, the one self, though reflected in different intellects that are ever changing, remains changeless and untainted by the character of the intellects. घनश्छन्नदृष्टिर्घनश्छन्नमर्कं यथा निष्प्रभं मन्यते चातिमूढः तथा बद्धवत् भाति यो मूढदृष्टेः स नित्योपलब्धिस्वरूपोऽहमात्मा. Just as a very ignorant person whose vision is obstructed by a cloud thinks that the sun covered by a cloud is devoid of brilliance, so also to a person who is deluded by avidya, the Atma appears as bound. That Atma, which is of the nature of eternal consciousness, I am. समस्तेषु वस्तुष्वनुस्यूतमेकं समस्तानि वस्तूनि यन्न स्पृशन्ति वियद्वत्सदा शुद्धमच्छस्वरूपं स नित्योपलब्धिस्वरूपोऽहमात्मा. Space pervades all objects but is never tainted by the impurities in those objects. So also, the self is never tainted by the defects such as attachment, aversion, anger, greed, etc. in the minds of living beings, which the self pervades. It is always absolutely pure, changeless, and immortal. उपाधौ यथा भेदता सन्मणीनां तथा भेदता बुद्धिभेदेषु तेऽपि यथा चन्द्रिकाणां जले चञ्चलत्वं तथा चञ्चलत्वं तवापीह विष्णो. O all-pervading Lord, Just as a crystal looks different due to different limiting adjuncts, you also appear to be different because of being reflected in different intellects. Just as the reflections of the moon in different vessels of water also move in accordance with the movement of the water, you also appear to undergo change because of association with different intellects. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadiya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.